can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and the club, a bit of its history and what you've been up to?
Okay, I live in India. I live in Calcutta, the eastern part of India. I became a charter member of the E-Club of Melbourne in 2013. Currently, we have 11 members. So one member from Tuscany, Italy, one member from Salamanca, Spain, myself from India, 2 members from Hobart, 1 from Brisbane, and the rest of the members from Melbourne. So Stephen is from Melbourne. And thank you for inviting us, John. So our weekly meeting is on Wednesdays. So we will start our board meeting at 8 o'clock tonight. So as soon as your meeting is over, we start our meeting, our board meeting. And we have the first and third Wednesdays with speakers. We have the second Wednesday, which is today, a board meeting. The fourth Wednesday is a project meeting, and the fifth Wednesday, we don't have any meeting, but we encourage our members to share on our social media. We have a Facebook page, our club has its Facebook page, and we also have a website.
Okay, great, great. How are you coping with the coronavirus?
In India, currently we are under lockdown for 3 weeks. So I presume it's going to be extended. I'm not sure on that. We've had several number of deaths, and we've also had a lot of confirmed cases all across the country. So the situation is not good at all.
Yeah, we do see on the news every night. I think we're all just about saturated with coronavirus news, but that's the world we live in these days. So yeah. I certainly missing. We've got grandchildren and we can't see them. We've got a daughter in Singapore, and we've got 2 grandchildren there. So we Skype with them pretty well every day. So they're in lockdown too over there.
Yes.
So it's pretty well the story everywhere. So good. All right. Now, Stephen, I'll just turn you on.
Brilliant. There we go. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah, just give us a bit of a rundown on yourself and also what your role in the club is.
Where do I begin? Okay, so I guess I've been with Rotary for a number of years now. So I'm a Rotarian with the E-Club of Melbourne, obviously. Prior to that, I was also a Rotaract with the Rotaract Club of Barwon in District 9780. And so my role with the club at the moment is as Sergeant of Arms. And next year, up and coming, I'm going to be taking on the role of Secretary and Director Community Service. Yeah, and my role outside of this is I work in IT for a living. So I'm an IT cloud solutions architect. And yeah, on an interesting point with this as well. So particularly noting our members in India and Spain, 2 of the countries which are most significantly impacted at the moment by the coronavirus outbreak as well. So we're in a very interesting spot as a club with that.
Yep. Yeah, so as I said, we're all pretty new to this. It's going to be probably the norm for quite a while by the sound of it here. So yeah, we're really trying to work out where we go from here and how we operate as a club. We've suspended pretty well everything apart from these meetings. So it's a good chance for people to catch up and yeah, find out what's going on elsewhere.
Absolutely. And I guess one of the biggest bits of advice that I guess for the E-Club, we've been working with a lot of clubs who are starting to get into the space of virtual meetings. Of course, us ourselves having been doing it for quite a while. The biggest thing that we would probably recommend with that is iterate on it, find what works, what doesn't work. If you find something and it's like, well, maybe we could try this. One of the great things about having this kind of opportunity is that we're not set into our ways in saying this is how we run our meetings. If we think, you know, oh, maybe there's a way we could change this, maybe there's a way we could test with something or improve on it, give it a try, see how it goes. Just like having virtual meetings themselves, the format is completely up to what works for you and your club. So that would be one of the biggest bits of advice we'd give to that. But it seems like everyone has taken this up really well, and having this kind of number of turnout from members is absolutely fantastic, and you should definitely be aboard for that in the efforts of your club.
Yeah, I think we had a pretty good response last week. One thing I learned is I had a PowerPoint on last week and I gave up on that. I'm not bothering this week. It's just too many things to juggle with at the time, I think. But okay. Now, all our members, I said I've muted them, but if you want to ask a question, anybody in our club, if you want to ask a question of Madhu or Stephen, on your down the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little icon called Manage Participants, I think it is. And if you click on that, you'll see down the bottom, there's a row of little buttons. There's a hand, there's a yes, no, go slow, go faster, more. So with, if you've got any questions, if you want to just press on the hand, I can see that and I can unmute you and you can fire away with your questions. So we'll see how we go. This is all new territory for me and for you too, probably. So let's see how we go with that.
So I will make one quick suggestion.
Yep.
If anyone's having trouble finding the managed participants, if you just want to raise your hand on the camera, we might be able to help direct you towards it. Okay, we've got 3 people there, 4, 5, okay. So it might be a case that once we go through the people who've put their hands up virtually and managed participants, we'll get people to put their hands up in the video and then perhaps we can use that as a means to try and flag people.
Okay. There's also a chat button down the bottom of your screen. Mike Perry can't hear anything. I don't think Mike's got his microphone on. So.
Yep. So, sorry, just as a bit of advice for that. So if you're logging in with your computer mic, in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, just near stop video, there should also be a button saying join audio. You should be able to click that and that should bring you in. Actually, you might not be able to hear that at all.
No,
oh, there we go. Connecting to audio, he should be coming good now. I'll just send him a message. Oh, yeah, there we go. So, Mike, you should be able to hear now, yes?
Yep.
Looking like it should be okay. All right, we might as well keep up with questions.
Okay, questions, yep. So, just hit the little hand button and I'll let you ask the questions. Anybody out there? Anybody got any questions?
Looks like Richard might have had the raise hand in the participants window, and Raylene.
Okay, good. I'll get them. Where are they? Yep, I got them. Okay, Richard first.
Hi, thank you for that. I'm not sure, Stephen and Madhu, apart from having meetings, what does the Rotary Club do?
I guess, yeah, look, I'll talk a little bit to this, and I guess Madhu can talk to this a little bit as well. So I guess being a member located within the Greater Melbourne area, one of the biggest things that we try and champion is a concept that we call being a Rotarian at large. So the concept of that is to, I guess, find things that other clubs are doing, find out things that are going on across our district, programs that we're passionate about, things that we are interested in, that we want to be involved in, and finding ways to help with those. That's one way that we do things, despite having a fairly limited presence within Melbourne itself. So as an example for myself, I'm fairly involved in the Rotaract program in District 9800, both as Rotarian advisor to our own provisional club, and also I'm fairly linked in with the other Rotaract clubs in the area as support as a Rotarian. And so on top of that, we also have a myriad of other things that we do from that. So we have one of our members is the chair of the Peace Building Committee and also on the Rotary Foundation Committee. We have people who've engaged in various projects with various clubs. And also we have members who have been past assistant governors who have grown quite close to other clubs as well. So they know quite well some of these projects going on, they get quite attached to them. So one of the things that we find a lot of value in there is being a bit of the centre of Rotary knowledge and a centre of Rotary experience, in that despite the fact we sit on about 11 members, we have people like Madhu, who's a cadre member with the foundation. We have people like myself who've been fairly involved in our youth services programs and in the greater world of emergency management. We have people who are lawyers, we have people who've been assistant governors, we have people who've done all number of things in Rotary. So we have the ability to, I guess, think if we're in a meeting like this and say, you know, this is really interesting. I know someone who might be able to help. We can actually bring in that support from across our broader e-club. And I think it might be worth unmuting Madhu, because I guess she'd have a unique perspective on this, being a member from India who is not even in the greater Melbourne area.
Yep. I'll just, okay,
Thank you.
Madhu, you're on.
Yeah, thank you, John. So, and we, in our club, we have also done projects. So community service projects in India. Last year we did, so we had, you know, the tribal school has kids and they squat on the floor to study, and this is in a remote village. So we actually distributed mats, and that we jointly did with a Rotary Club in Melbourne, Rotary Praran, and we also did toilet and tube well in that area. So that area is quite remote from where I live. It's 300 kilometers from Calcutta. So we have done projects that way, so which is international and community service projects. And then we have done local projects, as Stephen just now mentioned.
Thank you. Can we use you as a source of help in India?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Whereabouts are you in Calcutta, is it?
Yes, Calcutta, eastern part of India.
Oh, I've been there.
And that's one thing with the e-club as well, is that particularly having members like Madhu, one thing that I know a lot of Rotary clubs find very difficult, particularly if they're doing either district international grants or if they're doing a global grant, one of the biggest things, of course, is finding an international partner. For a lot of clubs, this is quite a challenge. You might know people if you've been to the convention or something like that, to the RI convention. For us, we're fortunate that we have members in multiple countries, and they also have their own networks within their own countries as well. So Madhu knows quite a lot of people in Rotary throughout India. The same thing with our members in Italy and Spain. So we're very fortunate to have global networks very much at our reach as well.
On a specific, I'll say, technical team, are you full members of Rotary International, or can you be in the E-Club as well as another club?
No, no.
We are, yeah, so we're a fully chartered club. So E-clubs and standard Rotary clubs, they used to be separate entities to a certain extent. Now that the distinction between E-clubs and standard clubs doesn't really exist. I guess historically, if you were to think of the way that Rotary used to have things chartered, if we were to have, you know, the Rotary Club of Albert Park meeting online, that would be considered not a real meeting. Just the same way it would be considered that, you know, for the E-Club, we could only meet online. So Rotary a few years ago, in their wisdom about this and seeing the way that things were changing, kind of said, we just want people to meet. We don't really care how or why. So a lot of clubs will also take it now that they might do their club general meetings in person, but they might decide for all of our board meetings, rather than trying to gather people together for an hour of talking between a couple of us, let's do it online. And that's a totally accepted format as well. So there's a lot more flexibility in the way that those things work.
Okay, Raylene, you had your hand up next. Just unmute you. If I can. It's not doing it. Yes, it is.
So
You're
one thing quickly with the unmuting. So if the host goes to unmute someone, they still have to click the button on their machine to actually be unmuted. So that's just one thing came caught there. Sorry, go ahead, Raylene.
Yeah, we're learning.
Mine was actually a suggestion in that I was thinking once we come out of this crisis that we could use a combination of face-to-face meeting, but also Zoom at the same time for those members or associates who are not able to be physically there at the meeting. Like, it was really good to have Ian join us. Most of us didn't even know who he was. We'd never met him. But yeah, you know, I think some people just aren't able to make the physical meetings, but they could, you know, they may be able to do Zoom from time to time. And I think that would really enrich the club. So I'm sure there'd be a way of doing a combination.
Yep.
There are definitely ways to do that. And I guess I'll let Madhu talk a little bit to the point of, you know, how some of our members and some of them, like some of the demographics that we've got in our club in particular, have been particularly assisted by the fact that we are meeting online. But I guess one thing that we've done is last year we tried having our changeover. So we had our changeover at an in-person venue in Hawthorne. But of course, for many of our members who couldn't be there, because of course they're around the world or around the country, we also had, I guess, the way that we did it was effectively we had a TV on the wall with everyone from the meeting, and we had me wandering around with my phone, or Madhu's phone actually, because my phone died like 15 minutes in, basically acting as a roving camera, talking, you know, with everyone, that sort of thing. So there are lots of ways that you can have hybrid meetings. They are a little bit trickier, but they are definitely possible. And so, yeah, for Madhu, I guess maybe for some of our members like Jack and Belinda and how some of them have fit into our club.
So it has happened that, you know, Melbourne-based members have met up and, you know, they attended projects, the Second Bites or, you know, the other projects. And it's like, you know, we got the reporting from them, but then, you know, we physically staying outside Melbourne, we could not attend. So we do that too.
Right.
Definitely, and I guess as part of that as well, so we've also had one of our members who unfortunately passed away a few months ago, Jack Ings, who was a past district governor from Sydney. He was previously a member of the Rotary Club of Hawthorne for many years, but unfortunately lost the mobility to get to club meetings. And so instead of resigning from Rotary, he had the good fortune to, I guess, come across our club and was a very valued member of our club for many years. Likewise, we also have members with children. Occasionally I have this little creature running around my house. And of course, when you have children involved, it's very hard to get to Rotary meetings. So people who are parents, people who are stuck at home for any number of reasons, it's definitely a lot more possible to get to online meetings than it is to get to physical meetings. And that's part of also widening the demographics. So when people think of e-clubs, quite often they think young people who are working and things like that, which is definitely part of it, but also people who necessarily are housebound who can't get to physical meetings. So it opens up a whole new realm there.
Okay. I think Doug has got his hand up. Doug, do you want to ask a few questions? I'll just turn your mic on. You should be right.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
2 questions. The first one's pretty quick. Are you attached to a district, or are you sort of on the loose end?
Yep, so we're attached to District 9800 in the Batman cluster.
Okay. The second one, I don't know how familiar you are with the postcard clubs, but it seems to me there's some similarities. Would you like to talk about the comparison? Or can you talk about the comparison?
Passport Club.
Passport clubs.
Passport.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So look, passport clubs, I guess, we mentioned this before, that, you know, Rotary is adopting more of those flexible ways of meeting. The e-clubs were kind of the first iteration of that. The passport clubs are kind of one of the further along iterations of that. For e-clubs, we still have the requirement as a standard Rotary club, we still have a requirement to meet, although how often we choose to and in which format, generally online, we are fairly flexible with. The difference with passport clubs is they don't have a requirement to meet. The passport club here in District 9800 do choose to meet online through Zoom, I believe, and also base themselves out of donations in kind and Footscray. But generally the only requirement for a passport club is that you only have to put in your 40 hours a year, I think, don't quote me on that number, to have done 40 hours a year of volunteering to be considered an active member. Your attendance to meetings isn't necessarily a thing. That's probably the biggest difference there, but by and large it is still that level of flexibility that can be afforded either way.
Okay. Good. I've got a couple of queries from David Gorman says, or tells me he can't unmute his
I
microphone.
think you've done it, John.
I have. I'm the only one who can do it. You can't do it, Dave. You got to put your hand up.
I did. Way back.
It didn't come up. Didn't come up.
All right. No, I think Doug's question actually answered mine, because looking at things like international projects where you need a host club and an international club, one on the ground in the country where you're doing the project for a global grant project. The question was, where do you actually get classified as a club to be based? But Doug asked that when he said, which district are you in? Yeah. And I was going to say something as well, like what Raylene said, that perhaps we should investigate when we get back to physical meetings to actually have it streamed, but it probably needs a little bit better equipment, microphone and video camera to be set up to work the meeting to stream it. And of course there is a button. I don't know, Richard, are you doing anything like recording this?
No, I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I learned to push the record button this week. That's something I didn't know last week. Jim, thanks, Stephen. Sorry, David. Jim, you can't find a hand button on your screen. Is that right?
Yep. Oh, you got.
I can hear you. Down the bottom of your screen, I think, is manage participants. Have you got that?
I haven't got that either.
Depending on the device, it may also be in the upper right-hand corner of the screen with the 3 dots, the ellipses. You might be able to find raise hand under there.
Manage.
Click on it. There's your hand.
There we go.
Oh.
Hey!
Is that it?
Yeah.
Did that happen?
That's good.
Yeah, I did.
Let me have a look.
Oh, disappeared again.
No, your hand's not on there.
Well, I just clicked on it.
Yeah, you might need to click on it once more. So when you raise your hand, if you click on the button again, it will lower your hand. So it is a bit of a toggle operation.
Yeah, it was on, then it's off. It's on again now. Now it's off.
So you got to hold it.
No, just click it once.
Just have it once. Yep.
That's it.
There
You're
we
on.
go.
You got your hand on now.
Oh.
Got a question?
Yeah, where's the frigging button?
You're right.
Yeah.
You figured it out?
I
Okay.
guess so.
All right. Richard. Hang on. Stan's got a question. Stan hasn't. I'll just turn Stan on. Where is he? Stan. There we go. Now, Stan, you haven't got a button, you reckon?
No, we don't have manage participants across the bottom. We've got participants, but we don't have manage
Oh,
participants.
well, just participants.
Yeah.
Click on that. Click on participants.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yep, that'll be the same thing.
Okay.
You see along the bottom, there's a
Yep.
row of buttons there.
Yep. Working for. You
It's all good.
You can mute me again now, John.
Oh, it's all good fun, isn't it? Who else is writing me notes? I don't know. I think I've caught up with everyone now. I think.
Mike gave up.
Mike
Yeah.
Mike
He's
hasn't
gone.
got his microphone on.
He's gone. He gave up.
Well, okay. I'll take Jim off.
Tony's waving. Oh,
Hang on, I've got a few here.
Everyone's putting their hands up.
Yeah, that's good.
Add mine to the mix.
Hang on. Mark.
tell me.
Yes.
You're on.
I wanted to ask Madhu a question about aid in India. Obviously, with the full lockdown, all aid programs have stopped, including polio, vaccination, everything.
Everything, yes.
Wow.
Polio, we were continuing in spite of being polio free, but now we can't. And we have a fear that, with Pakistan and Afghanistan still having polio, we always have that fear. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. All right.
Terrible that they're
Liz,
resurgence of polio.
Liz, you got a question, Liz?
No, I just wanted to say hello. I got my hand working. Thank you.
Hello.
It works. It
Hi,
works.
everyone.
It works.
That works. I'll turn it off now. Thanks, guys.
Okay. All right. Richard, you've got another question.
Following on from Mark, I was in India last year and my doctor told me to have a polio vaccine before I went there. Even though it wasn't a designated country, he still thought it was worthwhile. But why I put my hand up, what time of day is it there? About midnight?
No, it's in the afternoon.
Oh, I'm
It's
going the wrong way. Okay.
just 2 minutes after 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah. And another thing for everybody, I have sent out an email, which actually won't go till 7:30, which invites them to your meeting. And so it includes your email, but it gives the meeting number. So if anyone's interested, they've got the thing in writing.
Yeah.
Just it's a board meeting, which sort of is a bit intrusive, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that you should have, that's been sent by remote control. So people should have got that by now. Yeah, if you want to attend, the board meeting, as Richard said, after this meeting. And there's also a link to next week's meeting where there is a speaker from Hobart. Can you give us a bit of info on the speaker, Madhu?
No, we don't have much information. We will have it soon. So, I mean, I'll email you the details. But you're more than welcome to attend our board meeting tonight and the general meeting next week. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Have you got any questions of us?
I would have, I would have one question, I guess, for everyone, and I guess just by a show of hands on the webcam is totally fine. How many people are enjoying the idea of meeting online? Put my hand up. Yeah, awesome. So also a little bit of still not quite sure how this is working out yet. Yeah, and so I mean, and that's totally a thing, you know, for any club and any organization that's meeting online, there's always that period of adjustment. For a bit of context, so I'm also an emergency services volunteer. So I work with the Australian Red Cross as part of our incident management team. Quite often the way that we will work is in an office. So we will all be sitting in the same office in the same space, being able to talk to each other over each other's shoulders. Obviously right now that's not really possible. And we also have a fairly large humanitarian relief operation going on across the state. So even for a fairly, you know, experienced organization of professionals, we tried our first meeting on Friday, on last Friday just gone by. And let me tell you, it was abysmal. It was totally crazy. We had people trying to talk over each other. We had people having tech issues. It was an absolute nightmare. Come Saturday afternoon, though, we had finally managed to smooth out a couple of things. We had to try a couple of things. We tried different ways of sharing our information beforehand, different ways of being able to, I guess, giving people the power to unmute each other, like unmute themselves as part of the thing. And that made it a little bit easier. So even if things right now are not seeming that great, stick with it, iterate, find things that may work a little bit better to get through some of these little obstacles, and just let the technology work for you. Don't feel constrained by the technology.
Yeah. Mark, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on that point, Stephen, our strategic planning this year, and one of the key words that came out of all of that was inclusive. And, you know, it's a bit of a buzzword that everyone sort of throws around, but this is a classic example of an opportunity that exists. It's not about going to total online meetings, but it's about continuing to have the socialisation that we do, but providing others, like unfortunately it didn't work for Mike Perry tonight, which is a shame, but hopefully with a little bit of coaching we'll get him there to include more people in our weekly meetings that can't get there for whatever reason. So this is a great opportunity for us that we should explore, as you said, without fear, and just keep trying until we get the model right.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, referring back to our good member Jack, the amount of knowledge and experience that he would bring in was absolutely remarkable. And even up until not long before he unfortunately passed away, he would always be one of the first people to put his hand up, even for physical projects in person. He would say, if someone can get me there, then I'm happy to go to DIK and sort things. I'm happy to go and do these things. But he just couldn't make it to physical meetings because of difficulty associated in the time of evening. So as someone who was a very engaged, very committed, lifelong Rotarian, the person who you would look at and think, that is the sort of person we need more of in Rotary. If the online meetings weren't an option, he might have been lost to Rotary for good, and that would have been an absolute tragedy. So to your point, absolutely critical sort of thing, and especially right now with the COVID situation in particular, it's simply a matter of club survival as well, because we already see some clubs who are resistant to online meetings and saying, no, we just won't meet until this is all over. But you also have to wonder, will people still pay their dues and be there at the other end of it? So it is very much a thing of necessity as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit like you. I think there probably will be clubs that won't move with the times and could very well disappear.
Which would be tragic, absolutely.
Yeah. We just had a Nance and Adrian. I don't know if you aware, people are a bit worried about you sitting in the dark there. I don't know if you've seen yourself on the screen, but one of the tips I read about before starting all this was get your lighting right, so people can see you. So that's just
and I have a lamp right on my desk in front of me, and if I turn it off, actually it's not too bad at the moment, but if I close off what I have on my other screen, it becomes quite dark. So and again, that was something that through iteration I just ended up going to Officeworks, buying a small light which I can turn on, and voila. So that's definitely something to experiment with too. But yes, mood light, as Mark says, mood lighting is very important too. You need to have the romance about it as well.
Did you get the message there, Adrian, Nance?
Yeah.
Yes, we have, thank you. Can you hear us, John?
Yeah, we've turned you on now. I muted everyone, but
maybe we sit in the lounge room. We're just sitting.
Maybe we sit with or set up another light in front of us.
Yeah. Not too bright because that gives the other effect as well. But that's fine. What I've done with the microphones is I've taken control of them, and it's only because I think last week we had a lot of people talking over each other, and that's just something we've got to learn to do. So next time I can let you turn your mics on and off, and get some control over it. Oh, you're on the move.
We are. Still no better.
That's all right. Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Okay. Now we're standing.
All right. Good. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Where am I?
Actually.
I'll turn you off again. And Doug's got a question. Doug?
It was more a comment. I'd make a comment on the lighting as well. The light glowed blue in my office today, so I've had to go and get a bedroom light to light.
You're doing very well.
The comment is that as you're recording it, and if you can't be there when we get back to normal, you can pick that up.
Yeah, that's right.
And you can listen in at some subsequent stage. So that's another big advantage, because there's some good guest speakers come along and it gets lost.
Yeah. Certainly in the current environment, we can do that. I'm recording this, so this can be available. We'll put it available probably somehow or other when I figure out how to do it. Okay, thanks, Doug. Mark, is it? Mark.
Yeah. I was going to say just add one point earlier, but I suffered from premature muting, so I couldn't add any more. But
Okay.
I was just going to add to what I said earlier about the opportunity to grow beyond our current scope and include. It's not only for Rotarians and guests, but the scope that it opens up for speakers, for not only obviously our local district, but potentially international speakers is huge, which, gives us, again, doesn't have to be every week because we want local people, but it expands the horizons on that as well.
Yeah.
In our club, we have had speakers from US. We will have a speaker from the UK. So we've had international speakers.
We were very fortunate to have the past, one of the past trustees from the Rotary Foundation actually speak to us as well from the United States, which is, as far as speakers go, getting a trustee from the foundation is pretty top tier. If we were not meeting online, I don't think we would have ever been able to wrangle that. But because we, again, had the conversation, and because we meet online, it suddenly becomes possible. So definitely reach for the stars with that.
Yeah. Okay. Good to see you, Tony. You want to say a few words?
Am I on?
Yep, you're on.
Yeah, it's a great initiative for someone like me who's out in the back blocks at Bacchus Marsh. It's a really convenient way to check in. I would have liked the opportunity to speak a bit earlier. I could have woken Bondi up. He looked like he was having a bit of a snooze halfway through proceedings. and I'm glad the Fullers were advised about their lack of lighting. I was happy to send a few candles your way if you want to just get a bit more lighting so we can actually see you.
No, they're right now.
And Stan's been a bit silly. I think Vicky needs to keep him a bit more under control.
Yep.
And I note with interest there's about 4 virtual backgrounds, so you can have a bit of a muck around with them as another little thing to play around with in the future.
Yeah. If you've got a computer that can deal with that, mine can't, unfortunately, but others can.
Yeah, but no, it's a good initiative. So it's a great way of checking in, and good to learn about the E-Club.
Yeah.
And we've got Madhu dialing in from India. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, very good. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
You want me to crap on any more? Or is
no, that's all right. That's good. Thanks, Tony. I just haven't seen you for a while, so that's good.
Yeah.
To see.
No, cheers.
Okay. All right. We've been going 45 minutes. That's about all I plan to do tonight, just to sort of play around with this and get a bit of information from the E-Club experts. So
experts.
Experts.
You hear that, Madhu? We're experts.
Your services are going to be in demand, I think. Have you had any other clubs approach you to look for help?
We have we've had a conversation with quite a lot of clubs, and also with Grant Hocking District Governor as well. So we've been quite engaged there as well in offering our services both to the district and to clubs within it. So, and we're very happy to help with this. And I guess, look, given a couple of attempts at this, you're also going to be experts as well. You're all very quickly going to become very adept with this technology. So, like, if there's one thing I can suggest from this is, if you're talking with Rotarians from other clubs who are yet to start meeting online, and you're finding that this is becoming something that could see some future in, then by all means evangelize it to other Rotarians, evangelize it to other clubs, and say this is an option. It's not too hard. It's just something you have to tinker with.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Jim, your hand's up. You got a question?
Yeah. I was just wondering if it's going to be in the bulletin.
What?
Whatever. I haven't heard Richard say it yet.
We still be running our bulletin each week. There's certainly not a lot to put in it, I don't think, but tomorrow night I'm meeting with Rosemary and Grant and the other 2 cluster presidents. So if there's anything coming out of that, I'll get that in the bulletin. And our boards, again, our board's meeting next Tuesday night, and any members free to go to that meeting as well. So I'll get a link out to that. I'll be inviting the board members, but I'll get a link out to that as well, probably in the bulletin. If anybody wants to join us on Tuesday, it'd be good. It'd be good to see. Somebody, Stan wants to know when you're going to have a shave, Jim.
Oh. When I'm allowed out. There's no need to have a shave. I'm not going anywhere.
That's why I got rid of this. I figure if I'm going to be home for a while, I might as well look a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Make the most of it. Grow a beard.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you, Madhu and Stephen.
Thank you.
You're ready to, better let you go now. You've got your board meeting coming up in 10
Yes,
minutes or
I
so.
invite all of you to attend our board meeting shortly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody should have an email by now, and that'll have the link in it if you wish to join the E-Club's board meeting. So thanks very much.
I should go think about what I'm going to say.
Okay. Right. We'll see you later.
See you next time.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. We've been on the go for 50 minutes. It's good to see you all again. As I said, we've got the board meeting on Tuesday. I don't know what's planned for next week. It's a bit of a mystery, I think, all this, but we'll see how we go. We'll keep going. We'll keep plodding on. We'll get better at it. Okay, so I can see a few people have picked up the chat button as well. Yeah, so good. All right, I think I'm going to wrap the meeting up now. So I'm signing off, and I'm going to cut you all off. So you can say all goodbye to everyone. Give everybody a wave. I can turn you all on, so you can all say goodbye.
Bye.
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 Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Keep your
Lots of
distance.
chuckies.
Yes.
Good night.
Very good.